Hi, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you have joined from. Thanks for joining in and apologies for the delay. We generally do not have delays, but today was a bit different. A lot of things got delayed today, including the webinar joining link communication modification. I mean, the entire team delayed in everything that we did today. So one of those days where delays were imminent. So sorry about that. But the good thing is, yes, we are online now. Some hiccups were there, but all sorted out. We are good to go. We are good to start. I am not going to spend any time in introductions to SQL Maestros or Amit Bansal or who I am or what it is. All of you have joined for some content, and we are already past 15 minutes, the start time. So let's straight away get into the content. But what we always do is ask you where you are from. Let us know your city, your state, your country, which location you are joining from. That's always good to get a global perspective. The chat is on. Please reply to everyone so that each one can see your response. And I'm going to call out your country name: Philippines, USA. We have USA again. We have India. We have Canada, US again. Great. We have someone from London, UK. That is good to know. US again. A lot of you out there, and as usual, global participation. We're just close to about 100 people right now online. Typically, we get a little more participation, but the communication is still going out. So yeah, everything seems to be very slow today. Slow, but we don't want our SQL Server to be slow. We want SQL Server to be running pretty fast. So let's get started. Friends, my name is Amit Bansal. I have been working with SQL Server for a couple of years now, and I specialize in performance tuning. That is what I do all day in and out. I have no idea about SQL, Azure, managed instance, or Fabric, or anything else. I only work with SQL Server and I love it. Okay, today's content is about concurrency. So the idea is to demystify a few concepts inside the SQL Server concurrency architecture. And I am going to take some content from our master classes. Now, this session, this one, which is part one, and next week we have part two, is not about, oh, what is concurrency, what is those ACID properties, different isolation levels, the locking architecture, the locking modes. We're not going to do all of that because that's a lot of content. That's a lot of, huge subject. We do that in the masterclass. You can see the masterclass content right in front of you. So we do all of that in module 6, which is concurrency and transactions. So the expectation here is that you would probably already know a few things about SQL Server concurrency, and I'm going to show you certain tricky things. Some of those things are like very interesting when you're troubleshooting concurrency issues. Some of those things are hilarious. Some of those things are funny. Some of those things are innovative. And you will be like, wow, this is how it works inside SQL Server. The expectation is that once you walk out of this seminar, you should be like, oh, you have learned something new. That's my objective. So we are going to do a few things today, which is part one. And then we will do a few things next week, which is part two. So friends, let's straight away get into the content. I am going inside this folder, module 6, concurrency and transactions. Well, friends, by the way, this entire content that you're seeing on the screen, this is the recordings of this masterclass is available on sqlmaestros.com, January 2025 batch, 40 hours of deep dive content. I promise that on the webinar, we'll give you a discount code which will give you 70% off and lifetime access to this content, the recordings, access, on demand access for your entire life. The discount code is there in the chat window. Please take a note of that. Okay, let's go inside module 6, concurrency and transaction. I'm straight away jumping into something here, troubleshooting folder. And then I go inside the troubleshooting folder and let's go in head root blocker. Okay, what am I trying to show you? I am trying to show you the locking behavior when you have a transaction which is running and it blocks a couple of other transactions in a serial fashion. So think about a session ID, let's say session ID 65. It's blocking a few other session IDs like session ID 66, 67, 68, 69. How does that tree formulate? Is it like 65 blocking 66, then 66 blocking 67, 67 blocking 68, or is it like 65 blocking all of them, or is this tree structure a bit different? You got to know this. Okay, so let's go and troubleshoot that. So I'm going to first open the file one underscore blocker. Friends, could you confirm if everything is good, the audio, the video, the screen? The Zoom tool is constantly sending me messages that I am muted. Well, if that would have been the case, all of you would have anyway notified me. But yeah, looks like we're all good. The video seems to be all good. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so we are first going to create the blocker. This transaction, which is SPID 66, SPID 66, so you can see that right away there, 66. Let's run this in AdventureWorks 2016 context. We are going to begin the transaction and we are running a very simple update statement on human resources department, set name to test, where department ID is equal to 1. Let's go and execute this. SPID 66 is an in-flight transaction, which means this is still running. This is going to be our blocker. I am going to now open two underscore blocked. So this transaction, which is 83, is going to read data from human resources department. Now, this is simple stuff. Everything is running in read committed isolation level. So you know what's going to happen now. This user wants to read all the data. Now, SPID 66 is already blocking at least one row out there. It's holding an exclusive lock and the transaction is still in flight. We haven't committed, we haven't rolled back. So it's going to be a simple blocking scenario. Okay, so let's go and run 83. Now, 83 is waiting. This is what all of us had expected. Now, I'm going to open up another one. Another user, this is session ID 86. 86 also wants to do the same thing, wants to read some data from human resources department. And this is also going to be blocked. So 83 is being blocked, 86 is being blocked. Okay, now let's open another one. Okay, this is going to be 87. Okay, what is this going to do? Let's go and execute. This is also going to wait. It's being blocked. 83, 86, 87. Keep that in mind. And do I have a few more blockers? No, I don't. Let's just make a copy of this and at least just create one more. 83, 86, 87. Oh, and suddenly we have 51. Okay, let's do this. 51. This is also going to be blocked. Okay, you have 4 sessions that are being blocked. I'm going to call out the SPIDs. 83 was the first one we executed. Then this was 86. Then 87. And then 51. Note the order. Ordering here is like, so how does SQL Server really treat this? Who came in first? First in, first out, or last in, first out, those kind of things. So the order, it's 83, 86, 87, and 51. Now we are going to ask SQL Server, who is the root blocker? Now we know, you and I of course know because we have been just demoing this. So the root blocker is this fellow, right? Sorry, the 77, sorry. Let me just close 77. We don't need that. The root blocker is 66, right? This was the update statement. So I have a blocking tree script here. I am going to run this now. And let's take this up here on top and see what's going to happen. 66 is the root blocker. Now, if you look at the tree structure here, it clearly tells me 66 is blocking 83. And this is what you need to know. Look at the interesting fact here. 66 is the root blocker. It's blocking 83. But then All other transactions, 51, 86, and 87, was this the order? Not necessarily this wasn't the order, but then anyone else who wanted to read data from human resources department is actually not being blocked by 66, but it's being blocked by 83. This is what you got to know, the behavior of how the locking hierarchy, the locking tree here gets formulated. The first session that gets blocked, the first session, which was 83, is right behind 66, but then all other remaining are being blocked by 83, not by 66, right? This is what the blocking tree behavior inside SQL Server is, just to be aware. Now, what happens in hindsight is if 66 releases the lock, right? 83 is going to get first access to the data. It's not going to be 51, 86, 87. But then after 83, if let's say 83, if let's say it, in fact, we know that 83, 51, 86, 87 were all select queries that wanted to read data. So they will always ask for shared locks, right? Read mode, shared locks. So all of them are going to get access. But just assuming, let's say 83 also was one of those incompatible lock types, like exclusive lock, then they would remain blocked. 51, 86, and 87 will remain blocked by 83. Otherwise, at this point, the moment you release locks on 66, all of them will go through. That's the idea. Right, friends. So what we are going to do is simply let's roll back the transaction. And once you roll back, you will see 86 goes through, 87 goes through, 83 goes through, and 51. And of course, now the blocking tree is not just going to give you anything at all. Right, friends? Is it making sense, right? How the locking tree gets formulated here? Yeah, SP who is active, etc., are very good tools, very good scripts who would give you a lot of this information, specifically at granular level, what they give, what they don't. I don't remember much, but you can always download them and check that for yourself. Okay, folks, let's close this down. Okay, and let's move to another. So what are we trying to do, friends? Here we are just trying to see how the internal behavior of SQL Server, the SQL Server here is. These are things that you should know. If you're someone who's working as a developer, as a DBA, as a practitioner, you're whether you're troubleshooting SQL Server, you're designing architecture, concurrency is a very integral part of SQL Server operations deployment, and being aware of how things work inside SQL Server is always helpful at any level, whatever you do, right? So these demonstrations are not to solve any specific issue, at least this one, so you know how you are troubleshooting the locking scenarios. Okay, that was the first demonstration that we did today about the blocking tree and how that behavior happens inside SQL Server. Let's move to the next one. I have another one. Now I am going to show you something to do with tuning, and I will tell you why. I do get questions as to why do we even have topics related to concurrency and transactions in a performance tuning context? So when we are doing these performance tuning master classes, we are spending quite a bit of time on concurrency and transactions. And why is that's important? That's about access to the data, read, write, etc. What does that have to do with tuning? Tuning is all about performance, about speed. So what has concurrency to do with tuning? Very much concurrency is an integral part of tuning SQL Server performance, simply because if your SQL Server deployment is not highly concurrent, it simply means that users are waiting for a longer period of time to get access to the data. When users are waiting for a longer period of time, it simply means waiting. Waiting here means slowness. because it's taking time to get access to the data, which means the workloads are running slow. You and I know the reason behind why it's running slow, because there is a locking or a blocking scenario out there, but the user does not know. For the user, it's simply like, hey, I am going to running my report. I'm running my stored procedure. I need to get a fast response. I want that execution to go pretty fast. If that doesn't happen, it is slowness. So concurrency is very, very important because it's all about a blocking scenario which leads to waiting. Waiting means slowness. Okay. So we do have a tuning module here, and I am going to show you a wonderful feature inside SQL Server, which many people do not know. Even if they know, they would have hardly implemented it. But once you know this, you are going to start thinking, how can I actually leverage this feature and probably improve performance, or at least elevate a lot of blocking scenarios. This feature is called as partition level locking. You may want to just take a quick note of that. Partition level locking, which by default doesn't work unless you implement partitioning feature. But once you implement, you look at the power of it. Okay, let's do this today. So we are going to jump inside into tuning, and a couple of scripts out there, a couple of demonstrations. I'm going to jump over to partition level locking. If you want to watch the remainder part of the webinar and all the remaining demos, you can subscribe to the webinar on SQLmaestros.com and get lifetime access to the recorded webinar. All you have to do is just go to SQLmaestros.com, click on the recorded webinar section and get access to all the webinar recordings. There are many of them. Some of these webinars are free and some of them are very nominally priced. So the ones that you're interested in, you can subscribe to them and get lifetime access. Now, because there are so many webinars, subscribing to each webinar might be a bit cumbersome. So we have another option, which is SQL Maestros membership. So the first link on SQL Maestros says join. If you click on that, it will bring you to SQL Maestros membership. Things are very simple. There are two membership levels. The first level is free, where you get access to all the free webinars and all our tutorials and demos, more than 200, 300 demos and tutorials. All you have to do is just become a free member. You're paying nothing and you get access to all of them. So you don't have to go and subscribe to each webinar individually. Just become a free member and then explore the free video lobby. So if you go to the video lobby here, there is something called as free content where you get access to all of that. But then all of us are interested in advanced content, isn't it? And that is where premium membership comes into play. So the webinars that are paid, and there are many advanced tutorials and demos. If you want access to all of them, you can become a premium member and pay a nominal price, which is annual membership. Once you do that, you can explore the premium video lobby. If you go to the premium video lobby from here, or just go to the video lobby and click on premium content, you can see all the paid webinars and all the advanced tutorials and demos and get access to all of them with your annual membership. Anyway, choice is yours. There's a lot of content on SQLmaestros.com, and you can also explore the YouTube membership level as well. So you have free content on YouTube channel, and you can also join and become a member of SQL Maestros on YouTube, where you can pay a monthly fee, get access to all the paid webinars and advanced content. So in summary, you can go to SQLmaestros.com and become a member, or you can become a member on YouTube also. Becoming a member on SQLmaestros.com turns out to be a little cost effective with the annual membership in comparison to YouTube monthly membership. But anyway, choice is yours, whichever platform you wish to use. Happy SQL.